Thanks for taking the time today to talk to me. I've been kind of just watching you from afar and seeing all your posts and your videos and announcements. And I was thinking about you going, okay, so when you started to run for president, you had no idea COVID-19 was going to happen in the beginning of your presidency, right?
Um, no, I had no clue that I'd do 5 years of presidency in just a few months.
Exactly. So it's a little different. I think it's grown all of us and it's making us maybe behave differently. But like you said, probably good things are going to come out of it, right?
Yeah, I think, look, here's the one thing that it has cemented for me is that as much as we're all a bunch of separate entities and separate people, we truly are a realtor family, and we truly are um, really looking out for each other in how we do everything. Um, I love John Gafford's conversations that he's had with his people, and he's put out there. You know, he took a little bit of a piece of one of my messages and expounded on it, and the fact that now is not the time to dig in your heels and to be a little bit more understanding that yes, you can be a great negotiator. Yes, you're looking out for your clients. Yes, you're doing everything you can, but you know what? The situation that just got thrown upon us was something that no contract, no normal human being had ever realized could ever happen. I mean, a virus caused the whole United States and the world for that matter to stop and say, time out. And for us as realtors to say, well, I still need my EMB and I still need this and I still need to hold you to this contract was a little narcissistic at times, for a better word. And I'm glad we've gotten through this. I think everybody was able to take a step back, take a breath, and realize for the better good that yeah, some people have been hurt that were trying to sell, but on the other side, those that were trying to buy um, may have lost their livelihood, and some of them may have lost it for good, because I don't know how many people are really going to be able to come back to work, even when we do open up. I mean, that's something we just don't know how that's going to happen and how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, and I think we're all sitting here wondering, May 1st is right around the corner, right? And so we're all sitting here kind of wondering, and the longer it goes, clearly the harder it's going to be in that sense. I think I'm watching you. You've done a great job of communicating and just really getting the word out, whether it's good news or guess what, you can't show tenant occupied houses anymore. I mean, whatever the word was, you got it out. And I feel like us as realtors have to do the same thing with our clients and the people around us. It's our job to probably over communicate.
Yeah, and quite honestly, in some instances, I felt like I was communicating too much, because look, I hate doing all these videos. I mean, I know that some people are going, yeah, yeah, right, sure. You know, I when you hear me pausing, I'm trying to pause to make sure that I pick the right word, because those that truly know me know that using the most politically correct words are not my forte, and I'm a little bit more guttered mouth than all of this, and I knew that I had to be a little bit more measured in how my tone is, my speech is, and that's probably been the most difficult part of all this, is being a little bit more measured and smoother. And as we get along through this, it's getting a little bit better, but still, you'll see me grasp for the proper nice words to say.
That don't have just 4 letters in them, right? Yeah, yeah. It's funny. So I remember our last shift. I know you shifted dramatically in the last shift. Tell me why you think this shift is different.
Well, you know, the longer this goes on, um, I think the shift may not be as different as it was in the past, because so many people will be buried with forbearances, will be buried with trying to get out from under where they're at. And businesses will not be able to hire back everybody immediately. I mean, let's let's face it. As much as I thought we'd be able to turn the lights back on immediately and everything would come back and it'd all be okay, the longer this goes on, the more the realization is that it may not be that simple because we've ran out of money. I mean, the government can give us as much money as you want, but there is no water. I'll use a pool pump analogy. You don't have enough water in the pump to prime it, to keep it going, to suck everything going and push everything going, to get water going through that whole pump. And it's going to take a while for us to get that water and money moving through our economy. And, you know, I'm hoping for the best, realizing it may not be as good as we'd like to see it happen. But, you know, Keith Lynham said when he was, I think he was president, and was his moniker thing was, you know, the recovery is in all of us. And, you know, when we finally do get to a recovery stage, you know, the recovery will be in all of us. It'll be up to all of us to be there, you know, spending the money, spending the time with to our local taverns, our local restaurants, going out and helping our local realtors that need it and pushing us forward to where we are back to where we were, because we were in a great spot. We were in a phenomenal spot. When I took this position, I thought for dang sure that this would be a phenomenal year. You know, a great beginning of a new decade. This is going to be great. I mean, housing sales are going off the roof. You know, median price range going off the chart. Let's just, you know, cruise through this one as a president. And you know what? Oh boy, look, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I mean, even interest rates, it's an election year, it's like everything just made sense. And then all of a sudden we came home for 2 weeks and we haven't left, right? So it's definitely a shift.
You know, I don't know if everybody's seen it, but the governor just signed on to a pact with California and Denver and Oregon as part of a Western states to open up together, or at least coordinate opening up together. So all you're thinking that we're going to open up in a few days, I doubt that happening. All of you thinking that we're going to open up May 15th for the Treasure Island opening, we'll see. But, you know, now we've sort of pinned ourselves together with California. Who knew? Who thought that would happen, right? As California goes, so is Nevada. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all comes to play. I have a bunch of political thoughts I could say about that, but that's a different show.
Yeah, that would not be appropriate. Let me ask you this: agents now, a lot of them, I feel like there's some of them that are out there that are working, that are calling their database, that are, you know, super active, and there's some that have just been like, oh my gosh, the world's come to an end. I'm sitting in my house, you know, watching Netflix. What kind of advice do you have for agents right now? What should they be doing?
Oh my goodness, you know, I just did a Housing Wire interview, and some may have seen it, and it said if you want to do business, don't be sitting at home watching Netflix. And if you want to do business, don't be sitting at home watching Netflix. Get off the damn sofa. Get up in the morning as you normally would. Take a shower. Get into your normal working routine. My goodness, the worst realtors are notorious folks that get distracted. We get distracted even more in the office. I mean, the coffee, water cooler talk, oh, let's talk and chat. Next thing you know, an hour has gone by of your day and it's been completely non-productive. Um, we'll find every reason not to do what we need to do to be productive. And when you're sitting at home, your house is full of non-productive things that'll cause you not to do that. So you need to set up your home so that you can be productive. You have to have your home office. You have to have a place where you won't be distracted. You can't be sucked into, oh, honey, come here, and talk to me for a minute. It just can't happen. And that will kill your business. And even on these Zoom calls, you just can see it because they're on a Zoom call, and yet the dog's still yapping in the background. Some their husband or spouse or significant other is walking half naked behind them. I mean, it's craziness. But so it's the distractions need to stop. I have a fake background, but it's because I'm at my office and the background sort of sucks behind me. But not unlike yours, you're in your nice home office, and you just need to be in a place where your mind is about business. Is the best thing I can say.
I think that's really critical. I think our schedules matter more than ever, and I've been really rigid on, oh my gosh, getting my mindset in, getting up early in the morning, walking, just taking care of myself and doing stuff. So I'm ready to go by 8 a.m. and I'm starting to, do my calls and stuff. And this is my home office right here. So when I'm on Zoom, I'm here, and it's actually my kitchen table. So when I'm on the other side of the table, I close it all up and then I go over there and I can have a glass of wine or eat dinner or whatever it is, because then I put it away, and mentally I can't function that way otherwise. I have to be at work to work, right? I think it's really, really hard. And I think we've worked a lot with our guys to say, okay, what is your home office? I see you and you're sitting on a couch with a laptop and you're like, oh, you can't be productive like that. That's not a good environment.
So, I mean, and we're, creatures of habit. And if, you're sitting where you normally sit when you're off, your mind says, I'm off. And if you're sitting in front of the television and the clicker is right there to your right or left, if you're right-handed or left-handed, and it's going to be human nature for you to reach over there and click, and all of a sudden you're back to binge watching the show that you just left off a few hours ago, and you've blown your day. And you just can't do it.
It's easy to have it happen. What about the board has really shifted? I mean, you guys, LVR has really made a lot of changes. I thought it was really cool that you had your first Zoom orientation. I thought that was congratulations.
In the August before you start your presidency, when you're president-elect, you go off to Chicago and you spend like 3-4 days there to sort of like plan out what you with the CEO. So Wendy and I were in Chicago going through all these classes, and you sort of plot out what you want to see happen, what you want to see, your year be. And mine was all about trying to make our agent, or not agent, but our member experience a whole of a heck of a lot better. I'm one that is very much about, does it make sense? Did it make sense for us to have to take a form from your old realtor, from your old broker to the new broker, and then have to come all the way down to the association to have it signed off? Why could that not be automated? Why did we have to do all these other things that just didn't make sense? Why were we not automated? And it was something that was on our radar. It was something that we were going to want to do. And COVID-19 pushed a lot of the stuff that was nice and we want to see happen from the background way to the foreground, and force it down our throats basically to have it happen immediately. So it was as much bad that has happened from this virus. It has forced a lot of things that everybody wanted to see happen. It's forced it down their throats to make it happen. Zoom. How many people have said, how come our committee meetings can't be on Zoom? well, that's coming. You know, it just, we had to be kicked in the butt to make it happen, like any big bureaucratic thing. Um, all of these technology things, you know, everybody is is always so comfortable in how things are going that it really takes something like this to kick you in the butt to make you get through that uncomfortable phase. And we're almost through that uncomfortable phase. It's still a little uncomfortable seeing yourself in this damn picture box. You know, because everybody hates how they look, but you just finally get over it and say, well,
It is what
shit,
it
that's
is.
how I look. So, so be it. So it's good. I'm glad that we're able to do it. Expect a lot of the things that we've been able to implement now to survive the virus. I don't expect it to die with daylight and disinfectant. I expect it to stay.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to an agent the other day, and he was saying he had gone on 11 appointments in that day. And he said it was crazy because all he had to do is, you know, leave the meeting and then start the meeting, right? That was all that he had to do to kind of get through them. And because in a normal day, I could not go on 11 appointments because by the time I drove to the first one, then drove to the next one and talked and, you know, did my stuff, it's different. So I think we've got different things. And I feel like everybody now has been on Zoom. Even older people have been on Zoom with their kids and family meetings. And so I think I used Zoom before a little bit, but now today it's so much more accepted than it was. I think we're going to see a lot more. Um,
I do too, because even as we're able to have a little more freedoms and be able to get out there, people are still going to feel a little uncertain about it because now it's in your mind. So it's going to take us uh, a while to unlearn the behaviors that we've learned over this period of time. But one of the things that we have learned is how to use a computer and talk to it and feel like we really are communicating in a personable way. Um, this was a learned behavior that we all had to be forced to learn and not feel like the other person on the other side was just sort of um, phoning phoning it in, um, for a better way to put it. This is a serious way of communicating, and you really can get your point across this way instead of having to be belly to belly. We're going to be um, computer to computer, as weird as it as weird as it sounds.
well, it's true, and it's our choice, and so we're figuring out how to do it. And you can do listing presentations. I know at our office where that's what we're teaching today is a Zoom listing presentation. That's what our broker is going through the paperwork and how can you do it and how do you share your screen and you know all the things that are there. Let me ask you, because the board has really gone through a lot of changes. What's coming for us? What's coming down the pike? You guys pushed dues back a little bit. I'm sure it's probably hard. That's a hot topic, I bet.
Probably one of the bigger things that we're working on right now is trying to figure out how to do a general membership meeting via Zoom. That is on my hot list to try to pull off this year. We've missed the one. We're down to two, and I want one of the two to be you choose. You can be there in person, or you can watch it online. So we'll I guess, live stream it, or however you want to say it. You know, again, this is all new to me, so
That's
however
okay.
it's going to work, it'll be,
Okay.
your choice. So that's the first one. Um, the other biggest thing, like I said, the committee membership, committee meetings, expect to see those since I now believe that May is out for us to have meetings. I think 2 months is a little bit too long not to have committee membership meetings. So expect those to be coming out real soon for those. And I expect to see a lot more people popping in, actually, because as much as this is new, and some people not as personable as being able to network together, being able to present the information in a quick, accurate format. This is a good technology, and honestly, the technology that we're using today, the way we're using it, I know there'll be other companies coming out with additional technologies that will make us look like, you know, we're going with something that's crazy, stupid right now. So,
Well, I think
but
everything's going
that,
to evolve.
yeah,
Everything will
but yeah,
evolve.
and so and when we open up, and let me talk about when we open up. When we open back up, we're going to open up in phases. We're going to start with, you know, appointment only kind of stuff, so we can keep social distancing and have masks and all that kind of stuff. And expect it to take us a month at, at least before we actually have large gatherings at the association of people, even if they want that. It just, it's going to be interesting to see how many people will want us to do classes. And quite honestly, I don't know if the division will allow us to continue having the Zoom classes. They've been such a hit. We're doing proof of concept. Let's face it, we're doing proof of concept on a lot of things right now with these Zoom meetings. So it's interesting to watch. It's interesting to do. I'm glad so many people are participating. Orientation class, which I thought would never be done online, was done online. The amazing part for me was when I did the swearing in, people actually did stand up and did the swearing in. So, you know, you still can get the seriousness of it all. One of the things I told the folks that were, I was swearing in, was that they had some big huevos. Here they were being sworn in, starting into an association when a lot of people are fleeing. You know, his we have MLS dues that are due May 1st, and a lot of people are making that decision of whether to stay or go. And these people have put a lot of money up on the line to want to be involved. And I had to commend them because they're making a decision that a lot of people are either unable to or unwilling to move forward on.
Mhm. You know, it's interesting because when I first got in the market, it was not a good time to be in the market, and I didn't know any better. So I just put my head down and I went to work, and I had to work really hard, and I know you have too. And so I think somebody getting into it now, we were talking to one of our new agents the other day. She goes, "Isn't this what you just have to do?" And we're like, "Just keep on thinking that way because you'll succeed because you're doing whatever it takes." And
Yep.
where is our board membership now?
Hold on.
Okay. I'm just wondering because I feel like there's a lot of agents that are unplugged, and so it's probably we're going to see a shift.
Um, yeah, and it'll be a historical shift like no other shift we've seen, even during the Great Recession or Depression, whatever you want to call it. It was a gradual um, change. But as of right now, and I guess whether I can say it or not, um, currently there were some 4,800 members that had not paid their MLS dues that we extended uh, through May 1st. As of May 1st, will be suspended. Their services will be suspended. So we've paid and carried those members that should they decide to just drop and not pay their April payment,
Mhm.
we all those that have paid uh, carried that bill, and as of May 1st, they'll be shut off.
Mhm.
And it's a shame to have to lose that many of our membership. Um, but, you know, during this time, it's you know, we just don't know what else we can do. And, you know, conversations still happen, um, you know, for those that decide that they need to step onto the sidelines, that should, you know, there are a lot of people that, you know, maybe you're waiting for that unemployment check to come. Maybe you're waiting for the $1,200 from the government to come to be able to make that payment. Um, you know, those folks that have, you know, that are on the line that just need a little bit of rope to, to be saved, could be saved. Um, there might be some people that think I'm crazy and think, if they can't make $300, get them out. And, during normal times, that would be a reasonable thought process, but these are not ordinary times. And we need to be a little bit more cognizant of the fact that there are people that have been hit hard from this virus. And having said that, those that need to take a step on the sideline and a week or two later or a month from now want to come back, is it right to have to charge them $1,200 for a reinstatement fee and be so heavy-handed? I personally, I don't think so. I'm hoping that my board and everybody else feels the same way, so that we can, bring those that were part of our realtor family that were sidelined back, and it will be a good thing to do. So I'm hoping that, it's a little premature for me to be able to say that that's what's happening, but hopefully that's what we end up doing.
Well, I think that's a good mindset. I think no one saw it coming, and it was so fast and sudden that it just, it's really hit all of us. I know I've never taken any money from the government anywhere in my life. It's just so against me and what I would do. But when the PPP came out, when I started learning about it, I was like, oh, this could be really valuable for my guys. And I think so many agents don't think they qualify for it because they don't have payroll, and they don't realize that they don't have to have payroll and they still can get significant amount of money back. So I think just knowing what options are out there for people is really important.
And that's, government politicians, a little bit of a diatribe, are always very quick on saying what they're going to do to help their constituency. There's always some hoops to go through. There's always, it's never that easy that here I have $1,000 or $10,000, here you go. There's always going to be hoops, paperwork, and just the general minutia of having to deal with a government entity to be able to get those funds. So sort of set up this way so that those that really don't need it won't go through the hassle of getting it because they don't really need it. So why do I want to do all this stuff to have to, get some money that I don't really need? So those people drop off, and we don't get that kind of waste. But those that need it, and let's face it, those that have nothing else to do, which are the ones that need it, holy Hades, what the heck? Go fill out the paperwork. Yeah. Take the time. Stay on the phone. Do what you need to do. How much it kills me when I hear people, I was sitting on the phone for 6 hours trying to get, in touch with somebody about this, and I'm thinking, well, what else were you doing? Well, I was watching Netflix at the time, sitting on my sofa. Well, you can multitask.
Right.
Sit on the phone, wait for the person to answer, and watch Netflix. It's okay.
It's okay.
In that sense, you know what? Go ahead, sit on the couch and watch Netflix, but be on the phone trying to get a hold of somebody because you need it so that you can get the funds. Because
Right.
there you are truly working to be able to get the funds necessary to continue on being able to provide for yourself and your family.
Mm-hmm. And they've actually made it so much easier this time. It's their second time around, and they released funds this morning. So I feel like we've got, it came out this morning. They said because they tightened up which banks can get it, Wells and B of A and the bigger ones are all going to be done by today. They won't have any more funds. So I think if people haven't applied, they really need to get their application in somewhere smaller and hopefully someone that they.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the smaller community banks is the place we need to go, open up an account and build a business relationship that can be long-standing. Because if, in all of these times that we've seen where the government's tried to push money down to the people, The big banks have always done deals with the big companies. It's been the smaller banks that when they get their allotment, they are the ones that provide to the smaller companies because that's the relationship that they have
Right.
means something to them.
Well, it's kind of like being local and supporting our local people. That's what I feel like we should be doing. And I've always been a big advocate of smaller banks. That's where I always, all my money is in smaller banks. And that's how I always just try to keep it, encourage our people to keep it. Because then I feel like we're giving back locally, right? And we're helping locally. What about, let me ask you about just your mindset, because I've known you a long time and no matter what's going on, you just always kind of seem to be plowing through whatever has to happen, right? It doesn't shake or change a lot. What do you do to feed you, or what do you do to keep yourself positive and in turn help that with the people around you?
Um, you know, I don't know. The fact I've always been, my prior life to this was a paramedic and um, served the community. The fact, what challenges, and it's mostly what feeds me is a challenge and trying to figure out how to get through whatever situation I'm being tasked with, whether as a paramedic, as a realtor, um, dealing with a buyer or a seller in the situation that we have currently, negotiating the deal, trying to figure out where housing is going to go. Um, let's face it, no matter what happens, people are still going to want to buy and sell homes. They're going to outgrow it. Um, they're going to get divorced. Someone's going to, pass on because the other thing is we're all getting out of this um, in a pine box. None of us are getting out of this alive. Um, so things are going to happen during the course of someone's life that's going to, good or bad, cause them to need to change their current living situation. So I always have tried to find what that pattern is. My current situation is I see us going towards a more um, transient um, situation, hence where I'm at. Um, and if anything I learned from the end of our coming out of the 2008 era was that politicians would not allow for another foreclosure debacle ever again. They don't want to see it on TV. They don't want to have to deal with it. And the all of a sudden disappearance of all the shadow inventory that everybody talked about that just sort of disappeared um, told me a very telling story of how that we will never see huge masses of REO properties ever again. And not giving away the whole story, but where I'm at, why I'm here. So
That's a nice way to say it for somebody who used to have 400 and 500 listings at a time, right? And back in the day, it's yeah, if we just kind of shift and our mind helps us to get through things and do stuff. I'm wondering, on one of our Trending Together panels, I think it was Czar that said 9 months from now there's going to be a lot of divorces and a lot of babies, and people will be moving because they've lived in their house a lot, and all of a sudden they're wishing they had a home office, or they're wishing they had a swimming pool, or they're wishing they had a bigger backyard, or good heavens, if they're in California and they're living in 1,200 square feet, that's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and worth 1.2 million in Pasadena or something crazy. I think there's going to be a shift. I'm wondering about your predictions for the rest of this year and what it looks like, Mr. Genius with the crystal ball.
I think that the banks are going to do whatever they can do to ensure that there's liquidity in the market to make it possible for people that can move and want to buy and sell be able to. No one wants to see what happened in 2008 ever happen again. Um, as you know, so interest rates will remain low. There'll be money in the market no matter what, because that's just going to be a way to keep things, keep the economic gears lubricated. Um, People are going to, they're sitting in their homes right now, wishing they had this, wishing they had that, and I have to commend Czar for um, picking that, picking up on that. And it's probably because he just spoke his mind, going, "Well, I wish I had this, and I wish I had that. My dogs are probably bothering me, and I wish I had a bigger yard." So, the flaws of someone's home are magnified somewhat when you're in it 24/7 for a month.
Or two.
As are our spouses. I'm sure my wife would like to see me gone. As a matter of fact, my wife had to take a break and went to Utah over the last few days, and so it was a pleasant break. And yeah, and again, it's going to magnify some of the things that happen normally, and it may expedite it, but yeah, things will change. And and I've said I've tried to predict things, and it just comes back and bites you in the butt. Um, and I prefer to say, you know what? Who knows what's going to happen? But whatever happens, there's going to be a need for us as realtors to be there and to lend guidance to those that need our help. And as long as we're there to help and not just worry about how to fill our pockets, everything will be okay.
Well said. Yeah, it's really, I feel like there's been sort of a kindness that I've witnessed through this, where people are kind of, maybe they're more relaxed because we're not moving as fast as we were. Even though I still seem to have, by Friday at 4 o'clock, I'm toast. But there seems to be sort of a kindness or more of a genuineness or people helping each other. Are you seeing that, sensing that?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing that brings people to their own mortality, realization of their own mortality, than a virus that can kill you. Um, you know, Having that sense that life is not just something that can continue on um, causes people to take a step back and hopefully realize that we are all in this together. It's not about really all that I can accumulate and screw you. Because I got a greater car than you, woo woo. I'm better than you. Because tomorrow morning you could wake up and end up in an ICU somewhere with a tube stuck down your throat, breathing for you, and not know whether or not you're going to wake up. So the realization of everyone's mortality helps provide some, um, you know, your shit doesn't stink.
There's that four-letter word.
Yeah, your stuff doesn't stink. Mentality goes away, because all of a sudden there is. I'm trying to think of the right word to use, but it just brings everybody's ego down to level ground. And
more of a level playing field, I think.
Yeah,
starting from.
Yeah, realization that everybody's, in this together, because we certainly are. And you're right, people are more caring, more giving. Those that are able to give are giving leaps and bounds, and those that are in need, I hope that you're not feeling that you can't ask, because I know there are plenty of people that are more than willing to give if they just knew that you or someone that you knew were in need. And that's a huge thing, because you don't need to suffer in silence at all.
Well said. There's plenty of people out there that are willing to help, definitely. What parting words do you have for the realtors in Las Vegas? What do you want to leave them with and say to them?
There's no doubt about it. We're in for a rough go. Um, and, you know, buckle down and do the things that you need to do to be to get your mind in work mode. This is not home mode, it's work mode. And remember that, you know, everybody is in the same boat. Everybody's deal is in jeopardy of being lost. And have the patience. Have the patience to realize that together we'll get through this and we'll be prosperous. If we're going to attack each other and crucify each other, then there will be blood in the streets and no one will get through this alive. Is some good metaphors to use. We got to do this together. We can't do it scratching and biting each other all the way to the finish line.
Well said. Well said. Thank you for the time today. I appreciate it. I always don't often get to slow down enough to sit and talk to you for a little bit, so it's kind of fun and kind of refreshing. And our Zoom calls actually have been some of them are fast-paced and crazy, and some of them have just been really kind of neat to get to know people and things I wouldn't be doing otherwise. So I appreciate it, and then I really hats off to you, because as I've watched you go into this, I was like, oh man, that is not a spot I would want to be in for anything at this moment. It's all hands on deck, and you've done a great job. And I think just communicating, getting the word out makes a huge difference. So hats off to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And, you know, there was no book or manual when we started this. And it's been a very interesting ride. And I'm glad I'm here, because the experiences that I've garnered and will still continue to garner will make my life richer throughout it. So I thank everybody that's been there, and thank everybody for their kindness and generosity, whether it be the nice emails or the other emails that aren't so nice. At least you've taken the time to write me and say, hey.
That's great. Well, you go ahead and have a great rest of your week, and appreciate your input and your leadership at this time, because I know it's not been easy. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. See you later, Tom.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.